20 years after the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq, and one question remains. Could it have been prevented? Well, the answer seems to be no, because it was the plan all along. After 9/11, it was payback time for America, and the hunt for state sponsors of terrorism was on. After Afghanistan, Iraq became the next target, and the British Prime Minister, Tony Blair, became George Bush's accomplice. All that was missing was an excuse to invade. Well, here in a declassified letter, we can see how Blair tells Bush that he's with him no matter what, as in he'll support him in removing Saddam Hussein from power.
I will be with you whatever. Getting rid of Saddam is the right thing to do. He's a potential threat. He could be contained.
In another secret memo, we're told that the pair were concocting a PR campaign on how to sell the Iraq war an entire year before the U.S. invaded.
The PM said we needed an accompanying PR strategy that highlighted the risks of Saddam's WMD program and his appalling human rights record. Bush strongly agreed. The PM said this approach would be important in managing European public opinion and in helping the president construct an international coalition. The PM said no one could doubt the world would be a better place if there were regime change in Iraq.
What's more, they had a strategy in case that Saddam Hussein actually gave UN weapons inspectors free rein to check on everything.
The PM later commented to me privately that he'd spoken again to Bush about the issue of UN inspectors. Bush had acknowledged that there was just a possibility that Saddam would allow them in and go about their own business. If that happened, we would have to adjust our approach accordingly.
So they didn't even want full transparency. They just pretended to want it, hoping Iraq's leader would say no, and that would be enough to topple him. Well, September 2002, Tony Blair's infamous claim.
The intelligence picture they paint is one accumulated over the last 4 years. It is extensive, detailed, and authoritative. It concludes that Iraq has chemical and biological weapons, that Saddam has continued to produce them, that he has existing and active military plans for the use of chemical and biological weapons, which could be activated within 45 minutes.
45 minutes? Really? Sounds fake. Well, it turned out to be, which was confirmed by British weapons expert Dr. Kelly to a BBC journalist.
It was transformed in the week before it was published to make it sexier. The classic example was the claim that weapons of mass destruction were ready for use within 45 minutes. That information was not in the original draft. It was included in the dossier against our wishes because it wasn't reliable. Most of the things in the dossier were double-sourced, but that was single-sourced, and we believe that the source was wrong.
This fiasco even made it to the parliamentary hearings, which is where Dr. Kelly's name was revealed as he was asked to give evidence on what he knew. 2 days later, the man who said the British government sexed up Iraq's WMD dossier was found dead. And 10 years after Saddam Hussein was hanged, the Iraq inquiry, known as the Chilcot Report, revealed that the so-called Iraqi dictator posed no imminent threat at the time of the invasion, and that the war was fought on the basis of flawed intelligence. The spotlight was now put on George Bush and Tony Blair, with some calling for the pair to be prosecuted and even taking their case to court.
Saddam Hussein had not posed an immediate threat to the interest of the UK. The intelligence regarding weapons of mass destruction was presented with unwarranted uncertainty. The invasion was not necessary, and the invasion had been undertaken without the authority of the UN Security Council.
But the attempts made to prosecute Mr. Blair failed, as the UK court ruled that there exists no crime under English law which the former Prime Minister could be charged with. And the International Criminal Court said that the decision he made to go to war in 2003 is beyond their remit of investigations. And that's it.
I apologize for the fact that the intelligence we received was wrong. The program in the form that we thought it was did not exist in the way that we thought.
Over 100,000 civilian Iraqis killed, many more displaced, British and American soldiers dead for no apparent reason. And this is what they get. Oops, sorry about that. And what was the plan for the country after Saddam Hussein? Well, they didn't care, as was revealed in a secret memo. And what did they care about? Iraq's oil reserves. And they were discussing it before the war even began. Declassified documents states that the British government was encouraged to start preliminary work to ensure UK companies are well placed to pick up contracts in the aftermath of the war.
By way of specific follow-up, we should convene a meeting with BP, Shell and other appropriate UK companies, whether together or separately, to explore ideas and tap into their expertise. We would need to handle this carefully and ensure it was confidential to avoid charges of oil motivations. Start preliminary work to ensure UK companies are well placed to pick up contracts in the aftermath.
This is all in the public domain. It's been 20 years and still no one has been held accountable. A country was destroyed, a president was basically assassinated, and those who did it aren't behind bars, no, but lecturing others on war and peace. The bad guys got away. Unbelievable.